This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. We're at the Burj Al Arab here in Dubai. I'm joined by Mr. Kalle Sauerland.
Good afternoon, KUGAN.
And Mr. Ahmed Seddiqi.
Hello, KUGAN.
Right, well, there was quite a lot of information being passed today to a star-studded lineup here at the Burj Al Arab. This is something that we're going to, and everyone here is going to have to learn more about before we fully grasp it. Is that fair to say?
I mean, I don't think it's that complicated. When I first heard, the whole digital age, the whole, the chain, the blockchain and things like that, of course, it's a mouthful. But when you really listen to what went on today, it's about the ecosystem of boxing. It goes for everything from the fan to the champion to the trainer to the promoter, of course. Let's not forget the promoters. And I think also in terms of digital age, I think Eddie made a good point for once, where he said, that was a joke. No hard feelings. It was, but about we've gone from TV to digital to streaming, and now this sort of felt like a whole new era as well. So it's very, very exciting and the interesting part, exciting not just for one part of the world of boxing. It's exciting from the fans to the managers, promoters, advisors, trainers, champions, former champions, promoters, of course, I have to mention at the end there, and broadcasters. I think everything, the whole ecosystem will take great interest in this, for sure.
I mean, if fighters can get behind this, there's huge benefits for them, for their careers and for their future.
Oh, for sure, for sure. As I said, and as Kalle said, it's a full ecosystem where, fighters are fighters. They don't have time to get into technology and this, and we need to have some kind of a platform for them, and this will be the platform for them. Of course, this will keep on progressing. Like you initially said, we didn't know much information about it. Now, today we have more, and this will keep on progressing. And imagine just a fighter. Again, I always bring the example of Africa because I've seen a lot, and I'm sure a lot of parts of the world, like Latin America, different Asia. They all have some issues in terms of the fighters trying to reach a certain level. But let's again focus on Africa. Imagine a fighter from Africa, he rises up. He has a platform where he could, for example, sell his NFTs or sell his merchandise. How beautiful could that be, I mean, it's like I said, it's a domino effect. Once one starts, the others will follow.
And just on the part, I mean, when I was explained it in very deep detail beforehand, but if I break it down for someone who hasn't heard of it, really, it's a super app. I think there's fancy names, and a lot of them, in boxing we use lots of fancy names, and I guess in this world as well, this digital world as well, there's lots of fancy names, but really it's a super app. It does apparently everything on there, from care for the fighters to ways that fans can get engaged at an early stage of a career. In terms of almost a crowdfunding for young fighters. So let's say you see a prospect coming through the amateurs and you can invest in that fighter as a fan. Maybe it's only a couple of dollars you put in, but you're going to build up a fan base that way. You as a fan is engaged instantly, so really it's a win-win-win. And I don't know, everything I've tried to do in my life is never to have a situation where it's a win-lose or a lose-lose. You want to look for the win-win, and it feels like there's so many win-wins in this, and I'm a believer in anything you do in your life or in boxing. In my case, our lives are boxing, like it or not, it's boxing, and that when it's win-win in boxing, hey, it makes massive strides. When people, once again, I'm going to talk about the World Boxing Super Series. When we came up with the World Boxing Super Series, it was also it's the ecosystem of boxing that was affected, and people got scared at first. They were like, "Oh, what is this? This is rubbish." He's putting on a press conference in New York, $50 million prize money, all this and the other. Hey, guess what? 7 weeks later, I was standing in Monte Carlo with 16 the best in the world. We had the unified cruiserweight champion. We had the best super middleweights. You were there, Kugan. when they all arrived in Monte Carlo, we couldn't believe it. But the ecosystem worked together, 100%. And look at just take that as an example. We worked down through, who benefited? Young fighters boxing on the undercards, trainers training those fighters, fans. The fans rave about it today. So if you take that little example, the World Boxing Super Series, which has gone from strength to strength, this is when boxing, and it's so fragmented, our world. It's so fragmented, but when it works together, it works. Look at, some of the great fights that are happening. Didn't quite happen last year, but should have happened. Fury, AJ. We were talking about, Bob, Eddie, Frank. There was a host of people involved. MTK behind Fury. 258 management behind AJ. All these people in this fragmented industry moving together, and I'm sure that fight will one day happen. But it was a sign when it happens. And I know people
come together.
Yeah, people come together. And I know people at home are going to say, well, the fight didn't happen. Yeah, but ultimately, that wasn't down to them not working together.
But I mean, as Kalle put it, aside from kind of the benefits of fans being involved and getting closer to their favourite fighters, which is what the benefits of fans being involved in this, to get even, Eddie Hearn pointed it out, like him and Schaefer probably wouldn't be sat on a sofa together in any other situation.
Didn't you notice how I took my seat? So they had to sit next to each other?
Yes. 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 So you took the left, Hearn went in the middle, and Richard was on the right.
Yeah, and there was actually a bit of banter between the two of them. You wouldn't have noticed it. There was something that Eddie said and there was something Richard said, which they both know I know, that was a bit of a dig at each other on that stage even. But the fact is, I'm not going to say what it was, but I'll whisper it through a second. But I am telling you now, to get those two on the stage, that says a lot. Yeah, and if that can be a continuous thread through the industry, hey, and like I said at the beginning, the organisation of this event today, I know you were a big part of it. I have honestly under one roof, and we are here in the Burj Al Arab, at the top of this great building, this iconic building. Well, this was an iconic event. The people here, legends from, obviously Roy Jones, top of your tongue, but current, Josh Taylor, Terence Crawford. There were so many belts in the room, there weren't enough trousers.
Boxing show without a fight.
This is the best way to describe it. No, it was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Just a final one for you. Just you being so prominent in the rise of boxing in the UAE, to see kind of this progression now moving forward, it must be a nice moment for yourself.
Oh, it's a beautiful feeling. We're just talking to some friends down, from where we started 8 years ago, from just a small gym in the industrial part of Dubai to having such a great initiative combining technology and boxing, and happening in Dubai. That's a great achievement. And last week on Saturday, having the Probellum fight at the Coca-Cola Arena, that itself is just, it's a very big achievement, for what it is. As I always say to people, Dubai or the UAE is not a boxing country, and for it to reach to what we have today is a very major milestone, and a very big step, which I'm really proud of, and proud to have all the people here in our country, and welcoming them and showing them what could be done, even though, some people say, just forget. Many people told me, why are you wasting your time? This is not a boxing country. I just ignored everybody, and we just kept on going on, and until we have reached here, thank to Allah first of all, and then second to the whole teams that were involved in getting it to this position.
Well, it was literally one of the most star-studded events you'll ever see in boxing. Literally a who's who here. Everyone's spoken about it here. You were here. That's the main aspect, Kalle, as well.
Absolutely. What more can one say? No, to be here, honestly, that's why the first thing I said, give everyone a round of applause in it. There were so many champions. To sit there and mention one or two of them and address them in my speech was one or two of them would have been very unfair, because where'd you start? The greats of like I said, Roy Jones, King Arthur Abraham made it over. You know, Josh Taylor, Terence Crawford, so many. Saw Darren Till, UFC fighter here as well, and it was great to see. Great to see.
Okay, guys, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV. Like I said, we'll be looking forward to seeing how this develops over the next few months. It looks like it's going to be a relentless assault on the boxing world to make sure everyone's involved, because it seems a no-brainer that people get involved in this if you want to be closer to the action.
Absolutely. I think, you know, when you say next few months, I think the project, the way I have seen it and interpreted it, it's something that is very long term. You know, it's not something that is. But it's. Like I said before, boxing has always been about snatch and grab, and I'll put my hands up as a promoter. It's a predatory game. You look to put a fight on, you maximise the revenues of that fight. On the Sunday morning after the fight, you're ripping up the posters and moving on. This is something very different. This isn't about that. This is the feeling behind this. It's a longevity, and I think the people behind it have put so much thinking into the different dimensions from the care side of things, you know, to stuff that really affects every part of the ecosystem. As I said before, I think in a win-win way.
Okay, Kalle Ahmed, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV, as I said, and we'll let you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, KUGAN. Thank you.